Okay. Okay, you have to plan in the writing. Okay. The development of the paragraph. How many paragraphs you plan to have in that chapter? You must plan. It cannot be by chance. What are the ideas to be included? Okay, I have experience with students, sometimes very tired to read and read again because he write without planning, all over the place, jumping here and there. So we need to have a plan. How are you going to develop? So if you plan it properly, for example, chronological, you are developing your ideas chronological. Okay, chronological development of ideas can be used in what situation? Can anyone share with me? What do you understand? Development of paragraph or chapters using chronology. What is chronology? Anyone, please? Okay, can I ask Khalid Fakron, what is chronology?
Actually, I don't understand the meaning of chronological.
Okay, I give you everyone 2 minutes. Please Google whatever you have there with your phone or whatever. Chronological style of developing writing in your paragraph. What is chronological?
Is it time-based?
Yes, it's related to time. Okay, so when is suitable for you to write in terms of time? Okay, someone, I give you 2 minutes to look into chronology and sequential. What is the difference? You can Google, look in the Google, what is Google says to you? Chronology and sequential. What is the difference? When we write, we must follow a certain style, is it chronological? Is it sequential? Okay, can you Google? If you got the ideas, please volunteer and share with the class.
It is as I said, it is a time-based arrangement for events or dates or previous work based on time based on time of publication or time of research.
Okay, which part of your writing will be chronological?
I think it would be literature because it's
okay.
Because it will also be sequential. Sequential means progress based. Like someone have taken the first step, the second one have taken the second step, and so on.
Yes, okay.
What is sequential? So generally, it will be related. Chronological and sequential will be because sequence is also related to time.
Okay. Chronological is, of course, is related to time. For example, you are reviewing your work in your area. You want to see how this area developed. Who was the first researcher among the earliest researcher in your area? And he did something, right? So his work was followed by another researcher who is extending his work. And that second researcher will be followed by other researcher, maybe 3 or 4 more researchers. So as the years are getting increasing, you will have more works on this area. So like you are talking about historical aspect of development in the area. So that is chronological. But when you say sequential, okay, could be related to process. If, for example, you are discussing about a process, okay, can you give example? What process that you have in your area? You want to describe a process, so it will be sequential. You cannot have describing a process which is you start with something in the middle, you go back to the first part, and then you go back to the last part. This will create headache.
I think the first process, literature review.
No, I mean related to subject matters. Okay, what is your subject, Khalid?
Air conditioning.
Okay, air conditioning. Okay, what will be, when you are writing, what will be related to sequential aspect of your problem or your domain?
My sub area is HVAC systems.
What's that?
HVAC systems.
Facts? No, I cannot.
HVAC systems. HVAC systems.
HVAC systems.
Spec system? What is that?
HVAC. HVEC, sir. HVAC.
Heating, the air conditioning.
Okay, HVAC system. Okay,
Yeah.
HVAC system. Maybe you want to describe the HVAC system, right? So
Yeah.
you can describe it sequentially where the system start. Okay, what are the component in the system? How it works? So the operational aspect of HVAC, right?
Yes.
Okay, you can describe it sequentially. Okay, what follow what, after that what component, which what subsystem, and so on. Okay, so writing can be sequentially. Okay, another way of writing is we call it increasing and decreasing. What is it?
We know the word, but we doesn't know what does it, how to relate it.
What is
So-
what is increasing and what is decreasing?
The results maybe of what we're doing. I don't know.
Okay, you can say that. I think generic and specific you know now, right? Generic and specific. You start something general and you slowly go down to specific.
Yeah. Road and focus. Yeah.
Yeah, to the focus one. Okay, so increasing and decreasing. Okay, it could be related to generic and specific. You are. I think there is a noise. Huh? What happened? Let me. Still have a noise. Is it my noise?
It's a clear, actually. No noise.
No noise now. Okay. Okay. So increasing, decreasing, this is could be related to quantity, right? For example, you are explaining some phenomena which is required in terms of numbers. Okay. In terms of numbers. For example, I say just now, if you are reviewing previous work, okay, you can start with, yeah, it's chronological, but at the same time, it's increasing in terms of numbers of researchers going into that area. Okay, so this is logical way. You're saying that start with one researcher, followed by another 3 researcher, followed by 5 researcher, and now maybe 10, 20 researcher in this area, they are discussing on different aspect of it. So, but suitability of your method of development of paragraph, you have to decide whether is this the right way or not. Okay, increasing like that. Or another way is decreasing. Decreasing is more confusing, you know, because you start with something too many and then you narrow down to very little. Okay, unless you are, I think the better way is starting from generic to specific rather than, you know, something which is very confusing and then you decreasing to a small one. Okay, so better to say that start for general to specific. Another way of writing is division or classification. Okay, can you give an example? Writing from starting with classification or division approach of writing rather than chronological. Have you come across the writing is classification and, you know, in terms of categories? You follow me?
Yeah, we follow, sir, but I didn't encounter any such paper.
Okay, you have done before classification 3, right? Remember?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is one way of writing according to classes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I explained earlier before the test 1, we take a paper, and in that paper, it was talking about different techniques of solving the problem. This is one way of classification. So in your writing, you will have subheading, method 1, subheading, method 2, subheading, method 3. You know, you are classifying the method according to the nature of that method. So this is, we call it classification, where we are grouping similarity in one paragraph. Next paragraph, we talk another similar issues, but coming from different researchers. You got what I mean?
Yes.
Okay, you classify. So that's why I emphasize that at the beginning when you do your literature review, classify according to issues. Okay, because when you classify into issues, you know that this issue belong to one category, similarity. Another issues belong to another category. Maybe a few researcher, okay, focusing on the same issues. You class them together under one heading. So it's easier to the reader when you classify that researcher A, for example, focusing on the let's say we take example of aircon again. Okay, for example, on aircon, they are studying on the design of aircon that contributing to noise. So we take all together. Whoever done research in the design of aircon, we put it there. So maybe another researcher focusing on the speed of motor. Okay, we put together whatever who has addressed the issue of speed of motor that contributed to the noise. So this way you are classifying similarity. Okay, so it's common for a new student, new researcher to write a literature review by following the paper. Paper 1 talk about this, paper 2 talk about this, maybe paper 3 talk about this, but these are very difficult to understand, to link together similarity in the among the researcher, because that writing is not what's supposed to be in the critical writing, which is just descriptive, reproducing information, but not grouping the similar information, not arranging the sequence of the development or in the research. Okay, I hope you understand that. So the tendency for new researcher is just write, paper by paper. Paper 1, this. Paper 2, explain about this. Paper 3, explain about this. But paper 3 and paper 1 has relationship. They should be written together in the review. You got what I mean or not? You have to think when you are putting in your mind mapping or in your outline, which one to be put together, because there are similarity there. Which one should be classified in another group and so on. Okay, we can also write in terms of cause and effect. All these, I think that you should have learned when you study technical writing, and the graduate English course. Have you learned this or not? Have you taken any technical writing before in your undergraduate?
I have taken research methodology before.
You have taken technical writing?
Research methodology. And I think also technical writing. I'm not sure, but I'm sure I have taken research methodology.
Undergraduate?
Yes, but I think it was not broad as this one. Or the technique that we learn, or the approach that we have used in our bachelor, in my bachelor, is not as big as this one. The scope of what we have what was taught.
I see. Okay. Okay, at least you have learned something how to organize, right?
Yes.
Okay, about others. About Izzat. Okay, Muhammad Izzat.
Yes.
You have learned technical writing before?
Yes.
Okay, so this one will be common for you, right? You have seen this, how to develop a paragraph?
Yeah.
Okay, so it will be easy for you then. Okay, what is cause and effect? Writing in terms of cause and effect. Develop a paragraph from cause and effect. You got my question?
Is it your about how to develop a paragraph based on the cause and effect?
Yes. How to develop that based on cause and effect?
I'm sure, because on that part we write the relationship between event and things.
Okay. All right. So there is event and there are some consequences of that event, right? Yeah. Okay. So that is cause and effect. You have some, especially during your results. Okay. You are writing cause and effect. Okay. When you are writing results of your experiment or your simulation, it will be cause and effect style of writing. Okay, when you manipulate that independent variables, okay, what is the effect of it? Remember that we discussed about the temperature and the sales of aircon before this. Okay, when temperature is high, what is the effect of temperature, high temperature? In the case of selling aircon,
Demand. The
the
demand.
demand increase. So you are writing cause and effect there. Okay, cause and effect. So your writing style should be, you have to explain when you manipulate these independent variables. Okay, the effect will be either increasing or decreasing the sale. You know, is there any effect or not? Okay, normally in terms of results, cause and effect. Okay, so this is where you need to choose. You may be using some of these at different places. Okay, some of these at different places suitable for different style. Okay, so now I'm becoming an English teacher now. Writing a draft. Okay, outline. Okay, before you write a draft, you have to have outline. That's what I asking you to do for the next week. And then you should have topical sentences, and you have to develop paragraph. Okay, for those who already have experience in writing, maybe they don't need to have this. But for the new one, I recommend you to start with having outline, and then develop what is your topic sentence for that paragraph, and then you're going to have a complete paragraph so that you organize your idea. Okay. So concentrate on ideas. Don't concern about grammatical rule or spelling at the beginning. At the beginning. If you are busy with the grammar and spelling, okay, you will not get a focus in your writing of your ideas. Okay, at the beginning. Okay. Of course, if you are already expert in writing, you can concern about all those grammatical while you are writing. But this is especially English as second language. Okay, focus on the ideas first. Okay, so don't burden the reader with unnecessary information. Okay, get sidetracked into loosely related subjects. So sometimes when you are writing, tendency to deviate from main idea is there. Okay, but try to be focused, put related ideas. Okay. Okay, content outline has to be coherent. Okay, so you need to plan what diagram to be included in your writing. Okay, what tables to have. So it's very good if you can plan from beginning. In chapter 2, what should be in your literature review? In your literature review, what type of tables you're going to include? What type of diagram you want to include? Okay, because this will guide you in your writing. Okay, so if you have developed classification 3, you can include in your writing chapter 2, because your development of that paragraph will be based on a classification of techniques, for example, based on classification of issues, similar issues addressed by different people. You can start writing that, no, one issue, one paragraph. Okay, don't mix up, you know, different issue at same paragraph. That will be confusing. Nobody interested to read then. Okay, and then you explain related to this diagram. All diagram or tables that you put in must be explained. You cannot just put a diagram, a table, a figure without explanation. And remember, when you put table, you must mention about that table before the table appear. You cannot have a table before you introducing the table. Okay? So meaning that if you cannot start a paragraph with a table, you must say first at least a few lines that the following table will explain something. You cannot immediately put a table and then you discuss at the bottom of table. Okay? Because you must introduce the table, the figures, the diagram before that table appear in your report. Okay, put aside and review again, improve the writing. So when you write, okay, you may you know, have some you need to have a rest and then come back again, look at it, review again, and improve it. Okay, so that writing require a few cycle of revision. Okay, so organizing. Okay, reorganizing and writing the draft.
Sorry, Doctor, I have a question.
Yes.
Can I end the paragraph by a picture? Figure, sorry, figure.
Okay, you end a paragraph with a figure, but you need to explain that figure. When you put a figure, you must explain at least a few lines related to the figure. But before you put a figure, you must mention that figure 1 illustrate the process of, you know, maybe the process of the process of, you can say that repairing a motor, for example.
Okay.
Okay, and then you can say that, and then you can put a figure there, and then at the bottom of the figure, we will explain that. Okay, what is the process? The process requires 3 steps. Step 1 is this, step 2 is this, step 3 and that is that. And then if you don't want to discuss further because it might be not relevant to discuss very detailed, at that point, you can stop there. You can say that detailed explanation can be found in the following sections. And then you go to more detail on the following section related to that process of repairing a motor, for example. Okay?
Thank you, Doctor. Doctor, please, I think this lecture is very important. Can you give it to us like a PDF inside the YouTube?
Okay, I'm recording now. We will put it later.
What about the PDF? I need this PDF, please.
This with the PowerPoint, yes, okay.
Okay.
I will put it in e-learning, okay?
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, do you need a break now? Because we have 2 hours today, right?
Yes, we do need a break.
Okay, take a break for 10 minutes. Can I continue how to organize your writing? Okay, thank you. Okay, can we continue?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we were somewhere here just now. Okay, let me,
Excuse me, Prof.
yes.
I have questions. I can use all the kinds of illustrations like table, mind map, figure, bar chart, etc. In my project, or there are rules for these illustrations.
Okay, you can use it based on suitability in your case, you know. My mapping normally we don't put it in the text lah. My mapping is basically helping you to plan your writing, your ideas.
Yeah.
But if you can have 1 or 2 mind mapping, summarize your ideas graphically, and then you write based on that mind mapping, it can also help the reader to understand how you relate, okay, from one point to another point. So either to use all, this is depend on case by case, whether it's suitable or not. Okay, whether it's suitable or not. So, but at least, you know, classification 3 should be there. And then if you want to put mind mapping, summarizing all your work, some people will be very happy to see that, you know, because at the end of your discussion, okay, they can see that, okay, you have covered all those areas that you have outlined in your mind map. Okay, so the best way to judge, to decide whether is it suitable or not, you can see in your area. Okay, is there any papers that have practiced this approach?
Yes, you can say that depend in the way of the writing.
Yeah, the way of writing. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
you can, like we say in terms of flow diagram. Yes, actually, flow diagram is also can be part of mind mapping because it's graphical, showing the process step by step. Okay, but it is more organized. Mind mapping is normally sometimes is for personal use. Okay, personal use for you to record your ideas. And then if you want to put it in your writing, you have to make it nicely so that others can follow what you have on this mind mapping. Yeah, I hope that is clarify your question. Is it okay?
Thank you. It's okay. It's clear. Thank you.
Okay, let me put it on this. Okay, I was here and then I want to be here. Okay, now how do we organize? You see now my slide, part 2, organizing and writing draft. You see the same, what I'm saying now? Okay, so this is how you organize your writing, okay? You need to organize. The keywords here is organizing, okay, organizing. Okay, so these are typical organizing. Remember here, I don't say that it must be 5 chapter. I say 5 chapter style. Don't misleading here. Don't mislead. Okay, I don't want you to get it wrong. But what I'm saying here is 5 chapter style of writing. Okay, style. So you can have abstract. You have chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Okay, this can be done during your master project 1, or in your, you can partially may have developed this during your research methodology. Okay, of course your research methodology will not produce a complete proposal as you presented for your master project 1. Okay, at least you know how to prepare it. Okay, if you still unable to prepare your project proposal when you register your master project 1, so it means that you have not learned from research methodology. You don't want that to happen. And when you start doing your master project 2, you're going to develop your chapter 4 and 5. Okay, chapter 4 will be more on result. Chapter 5 will be on discussion and conclusion. This I call it style. You can have more than 5 chapters, but the style is following this way. Introduction, literature review, methodology, results. You may have 2 chapters for results. Maybe chapter 4 is result for method A. Chapter 5 is enhanced method of the method A. And then you can have chapter 6 will be on discussion. Maybe chapter 7 will be a small chapter on conclusion. But the style is 5 chapter style, we call it. We call this 5 chapter style. Okay? So actual writing can have more than 5 chapters, but the flow of the following the same style, the flow should be flowing from introduction, literature, methodology, results, discussion, and conclusion. This is what we call it 5 chapter style. Everyone clear? Don't mislead me. Don't misunderstood me. I'm saying the style. Okay, because otherwise you have problem with your supervisor. You say Adnan says only 5 chapter. No, I didn't say that. I say the style. Everyone clear?
Yes, we are clear, Dr. Prof.
Yes. The style is 5 chapter style, but it can be more than 5 chapters. Okay?
Yes.
Especially chapter 4. Chapter 4 is very important. Why? This is the chapter where you report your own work. Okay, you may need 2 chapters here. If your project is big, you know, and you collect many data. Okay, chapter 4 will be results and analysis. Chapter 5, or if you have 2 chapters on chapter 4 and 5, you can have here chapter 6 will be discussing, okay, discussion of your results. Okay, and then you will have your references, and maybe you can put appendices, more than 1 appendix. What is appendix? Appendix will be supplementary information. It could be you want to put evidence of your data collection, you want to put some summary of maybe some statistical test which is not suitable to put a main text, you can put it appendix. Appendix is meant for supplementary. Okay. Okay, this is a style. Okay. Okay, again, if you look at this, I have shown you this earlier. So you go to this focus, okay, and you methodology result. And when you do the discussion and conclusion, you have to bring this back to a broader perspective. What do we mean by here? We mean here when you discuss, you have to discuss your results with generalization of your finding, because your finding is based on your experiment, based on your data that you have, but now you have to generalize whether your finding can be generalized or not. Okay, I mentioned to you last time somebody was doing a survey on the effect of carrying bag for school children. Okay, if your sample is only in Johor Bahru, only 3 schools in Johor Bahru, can you generalize these findings for the whole Malaysia? Okay, you have to you have to be careful. You have to be careful when you want to draw a conclusion. Okay, you have to put some limitation. You can say this is only valid in Johor area because sample was in Johor. But however, it indicates this is the trend for the other school. You can choose the correct word. Okay, when you use the correct word, okay, people will read your report. Okay, looks very interesting rather than something that is illogical. You cannot say that from that sample you are making conclusion all the students in Malaysia will be like this. But you can say that indicates, or it can suggest that, it shows that. The word that you choose, very important. Okay, you have to be accurate in choosing the words. Okay, this part of your training in postgraduate. You need to choose the correct word. Okay, flow of ideas, coherent paragraph with one main idea is possible. You have one big idea that discussing coherently in this flow of chapters. It has a clear thread of ideas. Thread here meaning that like you are doing discussion in your email, your WhatsApp. So that thread of discussion should be coherent. I think you have this experience when you have WhatsApp and you have Facebook. People are discussing on something, and suddenly somebody come and he put a new things which diverting everyone to a new topics. Okay, that one is not coherent there. Okay, but normally when you are discuss on certain topic, people come and join you, give the ideas. But if a new person come in, he put a different topics, and then it will disturb the focus of discussion. That's what we meant, coherent. Okay, you should have a clear thread of ideas talking about similar thing. Okay, continuously from one section to the next. Okay, so now you need to have a coherent in terms of transition. Okay, transition. Let me show it. Okay, before I forget, I just want to show. This could be what we call a 5-chapter style, but in actual writing, it has 3 chapters here on the results. Okay. Remember, when you put chapter, now UTM style is chapter 1, this chapter 2. Chapter 2 not like a Roman. Like last time they used Roman number, but now they use it this number, the normal number. Okay, last time we used Roman, but now no longer. You need to also go to UTM guideline for preparing a project report. Last time you use Roman, but now you just use the normal number. Okay. Okay. Let me show you the transition. Okay, I want to show you. Okay. Developing of paragraph. Okay. Let's say you have a paragraph here. You can start a paragraph with topic sentence. Okay. If you are not familiar what is topic sentence, I advise to you you can Google it. You can find books on technical writing, English writing. What is topic sentence?
Yeah. Okay? The first sentence in the paragraph.
Yeah, topic sentence not necessarily. Yeah, normally in the first sentence, but it can be in the second sentence or third sentence. But this is the main idea. What the meaning is, topical sentence is the main idea of that paragraph.
And okay? All the paragraph should be talk about talk about the main idea.
Yes, correct. For that paragraph, let's say the paragraph is talking about food in Malaysia. Okay, you should be talking just food in Malaysia in that paragraph, not talking about something else. If you want to follow the second paragraph, okay, you will be, maybe the first paragraph is talking different kind of foods in Malaysia. Maybe the second paragraph will be talking about the Chinese food in Malaysia. Okay, maybe third paragraph will be talking more on Malay food. So that you don't mix, you know, so that people can follow easily. Okay, so the main idea in that paragraph must be clear so that people can follow. That's why when you are a good writer, good writer, you can just, for people who want to read quickly, okay, somebody was asking me how to read quickly. Some people just skimming through, first line, last line, first line, last line. You get the broad idea of the paper rather than, you know, reading line by line, especially the first round that you are skimming about the paper to get the general ideas. Okay, so this topic center is the controlling ideas of the paragraph. Okay, so the rest of the paragraph support this and develop the statement related to this topic sentence. Okay, so ideally, yeah, you can put it in the first sentence, but it may appear in the paragraph, often normally first sentence, but it may appear anywhere in the paragraph, but it's easier to put it in the first line. Okay, easier to put in the first line, and the following lines, following sentences, explaining this topic sentence in more detail. I think all of you have learned this in English class, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Very good. Okay. So you must have learned this. Okay. And then now, how to link the chapter? Let's say you have 3 chapters here. Okay. So every chapter should have introduction, introduce that chapter, except the introduction chapter. Chapter 1 don't need to have introduction to the introduction. But some students, they even have introduction to introduction. So this is not needed. Okay. The introduction chapter, you can go directly to the background of the problem. So you don't need to, because the background is already introduced itself. Okay. So introduction to chapter, you need, for example, chapter 2, you need to introduce this chapter covering what, you know, how many sections you have, what are the things that you are covering in the chapter. And you end a chapter with a summary. Okay. So I prefer to use it summary rather than conclusion. Otherwise, you confuse with the conclusion chapter. Okay, you can use it as summary. So what is summary? Summarize what are the content in that chapter, and then you link this before you end the chapter. You will say that the next chapter will cover on literature review, so that the reader is being signaled that what he can expect when he goes to the next chapter. Okay, so you should have some linkage from one chapter to another chapter. Any question? No?
So far, so good, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, so you link each chapter to the main ideas of the previous. So before you start a new chapter, you may say that the earlier chapter has introduced, especially for example, this is chapter number 2. You can say that chapter 1 has introduced the problem of study. Let's say chapter 1. And remember, if chapter 1, no need to introduce the chapter, you can go directly to background. Okay, so what I meant introduction to chapter here, you don't have to have introduction here anymore. Let's say the chapter 1 is introduction chapter. Don't have another introduction here. Okay, not proper. You introduce what you want to introduce. You want to introduce to the introduction? No need. Okay, you can go directly to background of study. Okay, background of study. Okay, background of study. Okay, so when you go to chapter 2, okay, you can introduce the chapter. Yes, you can say that chapter 1 has introduced the problem, and this chapter we review related work to the problem that will be addressed in this project. Okay, you introduce that. After you making some review, you will make some summary. You will say that this chapter has provide review on this. And then the following chapter will discuss on research methodology. Okay, and then you are now linking to this one. So this is what we meant, that linking from one chapter to another chapter. Okay. So, okay, a conclusion. We put a notes here, a conclusion or a summary, summary of each chapter. I prefer to use summary rather than putting conclusion, because conclusion might be confused with the conclusion chapter. Okay, so depend on your style. You have to ask your supervisor what he likes, you know. But if you ask me, I will say go and use summary. Okay, summary of each chapter. Summary should be just one short paragraph. What should put in that summary? A brief overview of what chapter has covered. Okay, what you have discussed in that chapter. Because for a busy person, they want to get the ideas. They will go to the summary. What is the summary? Make sure your summary is good summary, you know. Some people put summary but talking something else. So this is not a good way. Okay. So establish what has been achieved, okay, without introducing new material. You cannot bring a new ideas in summary. Cannot bring new ideas in summary. Okay, it should be summarizing what you have discussed in that chapter. Okay, so if you have for the results, maybe you can put a chapter findings, summary of findings, you know. Okay, one, okay, let me go more detail. One should have opening, the opening, okay, the opening. Okay, you need to capture the reader's attention. This is the purpose of chapter one. You want to capture the attention, so must be something that is not so heavy. Something is more general. Okay, so it should serve as a frame into which your reader can fit the information that follow in the body of your chapter. Serve as a frame. A frame, you mean that something, a broad idea, okay, that to capture the interest of the reader. Okay, don't introduce something complicated, which is very technical, that nobody understand, only you understand that. Introduction should attract the reader, even from different area. That's why we put it something broad there. Okay. So you are moving from general to specific. In chapter one, okay, start with general and moving slowly to the background of the problem. Okay, starting with something general. Okay, so you need to describe the problem investigated in the statement of problem. Okay, so these are typical outline for one. So maybe for your masters, I would say that 1, 2, 3, 4 should be okay. But if you are doing for research, you may need to put all this. Okay, but it's good practice if you can do all this. Okay, you can start learning now what to put in background of problem, what to put statement of problem, what is the objective, what are your scope, and what your key assumption. Okay, why your project is important. Okay, maybe for master may not so critical to explain this because you may be just doing extension of other works. Okay, even if you are doing a thesis, you can define, you need to define your terms, what term you use. Okay, but for master project, as I say, this is not as extensive as master by research or for PhDs. They are expecting to do all this. But for your case, at least 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you have to consult with supervisor what he wants, whether he agree or not. If he say no, you need to include all. Okay, you have to follow him lah. Okay, but this one is very good to include organization of the report. Okay, so before you end your introduction, you will say that this report is organized as the following. Chapter 2 will cover literature. Chapter 3 will cover methodology, like what you found in section 1 of papers. Normally, paper will explain how they organize that paper. So you can put the same in chapter 1 for your report, how you organize this report. Okay, so some people say no need summary for the introduction. It's up to the style, but some people even put just a small paragraph as summary. Okay. Okay, let me go to let me check here what I have done so far. I think about that writing, I have explained all this. Okay. Maybe related to results, I will explain later because you are now still at the stage of designing of your research proposal. Okay, I will cover later on the results. The results, how to organize the results. Okay, what's right in the results. You know, there is a style or also tips. What should be explained in the result, especially when you are doing your project too. Okay, you must know what to write. Okay, how to report and so on. But for now, let me go to how to collect data. Okay, I think this is very related to research design for chapter 3. Okay, any question before I switch to a new topics?
Yes.
Data collection. Yes. Okay.
Yes, Prof. The summary of the introduction. If I added a summary in the introduction,
Yeah.
should be include the main things or the important thing like problem statement and what I will do in this research.
You will briefly summarize what you include in chapter 1. You don't have to reproduce what you have done, but you just put it in a small paragraph what you have discussed in that chapter. But don't repeat what you have done above, as line by line what you have presented. That will become repetition. Don't repeat, but you summarize so that people know that what you have presented above. Okay. Normally, I give example for like PhD, we are expecting about 9 to 10 pages only for introduction. But I think in your case, I think 4 to 5 pages is enough for introduction. Okay. But anyway, you need to consult with your supervisor because he may have different ideas than what I'm saying now. Because different style, you know. Some people graduated from Japan, some people graduated from US, some people graduate from UK. Okay. So you need to consult them what is his preference. But what I can say that what I've seen, okay, from other works, okay, my experience, if PhD is normally not more than 10 pages in the introduction. But for masters, like your case, master by report, by project, 5 pages is enough for introduction. Is it okay?
Okay.
So if you ask about that summary, yeah, you need to summarize. You can say that this chapter introduced the problem of the study. Okay, so the objectives has been highlighted and the scope, blah 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 blah. You know, and then the next chapter will focus on related review of previous work. Just a small paragraph. Okay, so let me move to a new aspect here, which is related to what we call it problem formulation and research design. Okay, I want to focus on research design. This is related to chapter 3, research design. Okay, at the end, you're going to have research methodology chapter. Okay, research methodology chapter 3. Okay, assuming that you have done literature, now you want to design your own research. You want to plan your own research. Okay. So I think all these steps you have done it before. Okay, so we are talking now on data collection. Okay, how to collect data, how to analyze data and interpret data, how to ensure validation of your data. Okay, and then of course the result discussion must. For example, that you are doing, good research, you need to compare with other works, okay, if possible. But for master project, it is good if you can compare. Okay, you can compare with previous work. But again, you need to confirm with your supervisor, is there a need to do that? Because you are doing master by project, which is limited time. Okay. Okay, what need to do here is research design. I put it here. Research design is equal to strategy in doing your work. Okay, you need to have a strategy, research strategy. Okay, how about to implement your research now? Okay. Okay. Okay, in terms of, for example, collecting data now. Okay, the research design. Okay. Okay, you need to know. Okay, you might be using at least one of these. For example, the sampling. How are you going to sample your results? Okay. Sampling of data is very important. Okay, it deals with method of selecting the item to be observed. Okay, you remember the example of Econ? Okay, you need to know that, okay, what data to be collected and how frequent the data to be collected. How much data is enough to be collected? This is, we are talking about sampling. For those who are doing simulation, you need to plan also what parameter to be investigated, what values that you need to set in your simulation, what parameter values to be set. You may have more than more than one parameters, so you need to plan what parameter to be manipulated. Okay, if you are doing observation design study, okay, you have to see, okay, how it's related to the condition that under observation. Okay, what is related? Statistical design. Okay, statistics is very important when you start collecting data. Okay, because you are collecting sample of data, you must understand statistics because the error in data collection has to be estimated. So the accuracy of your finding very much dependent on, okay, very much dependent on the sample that you have used. Okay. Operational design is deal with the techniques by which the procedure specified in the sampling. Okay, statistics and observation. Okay, anyone have not studied statistics before? All of you study statistics before? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, very good. Because one of the requirements to do research is statistics. Okay, if you have not studied statistics or maybe you have forgotten about statistics, you need to go back and refer your statistics book related to sampling, related to error in sampling. Because when we do experiment, okay, when we do some observation, there will be sampling. So when sample, there is subject to error. Okay, so what is good research design? So of course, that good research design consume less time. Okay, because you plan it properly, you get the relevant data. If you don't design it properly, you may have tendency to collect wrong data. Okay, so ensure the project time schedule. Okay, you are doing it on time. Help the researcher to prepare himself to carry out research, and also provide better documentation of various activities. Okay, help in proper planning of the research and the procurement time. Okay, procurement time here is like, for example, you need to procure some materials, need to purchase some material. Okay, purchase some resources and procurement. Maybe your research require buying some chemicals. Okay, when you have a proper design, okay, so you know when to buy, how much to buy, and so on. Provide satisfaction and confidence. Okay, especially confidence in your data collection. Okay, so I'm not sure whether you're familiar with this or not. We call it Occam razors. Okay, Occam razors. Okay, in the case of several competing hypotheses, the one that make fewest assumption is most likely to be true. Okay, this is what Occam comes Reza is saying. So we try to trim down because the big problem, the whole problem is big. Okay. So we try to trim down to make it a manageable level. Okay. So if we look to this inverted triangle here, and then we have triangle here, assuming that you have done this research design, you have done the problem formulation, now you are concerning about data gathering, data analysis, okay, data interpretation. This is very important part which will be related to your original work, because you cannot copy other data, you cannot copy other analysis, you cannot copy other interpretation. Okay, this one is more on other people works. Okay, other people have done. You try to explain what others have done. Okay, and then from problem formulation, you still identify the gap, but based on other works. But research design, maybe you borrow research design what others have done, but when you come here, it is yours. Okay, so you can say this is master project 1, okay, up to research design, and then from here it is master project 2, okay, where you are collecting data, interpreting data, you discuss your findings. Maybe when you start collecting data, you need to also adjust. Maybe your research was not clear when you are preparing your proposal. Maybe you also need to make adjustment on your problem. Maybe fine tuning is possible and is common to refine, to adjust it so that it is in line with what you're actually doing. Because when you plan initially, you have not seen the equipment in the lab. You have not start collecting the data. But when you collect data, you will face many challenges. For example, data material is not available, the equipment is broken, something like that, you know. And then you have to make some adjustment to your problem, and also in your scope and your assumption, you have to maybe refine again. Okay, if you are facing such situation. Okay, so maybe your research design also need to be adjusted. Maybe initially you say that I want to do experimental using equipment in the lab, but due to COVID-19, I'm not allowed to go to the lab. So now you need to switch to simulation, for example. Okay, so anyhow, just be ready some unexpected situation that you may face. Okay, so you may need to adjust what you have planned earlier. Okay, so the point here is, okay, in project 2, you are focusing on data collection, data analysis, interpretation of data, and discussion. What you do here, it is depending on what you designed earlier. Okay, what you designed on the earlier part of your project, which is project 1. Okay, I think this is, we have done it, research design, what it is. Okay, so I want to emphasize again, when you do your research design in chapter 3, okay, you need to plan, okay, how to collect data, and you have to plan how to analyze the data, okay, before you collect data. Because once you collect data, if you don't plan it properly to how to analyze, you may end up with collecting insufficient data or unrelevant data. Okay, so you need to decide the way that data is to be collected. Okay, before I proceed, I want to know, can you do a master project without collecting data?
No.
Anyone? Is there any study without collecting data?
No.
Okay, regardless of the field, you can be aeronautics, you can be industrial engineering, you could be biomechanical. Somehow must collect data. So what type of data you collect, this is depend on the field. So that's why very important when you want to select which area, you have to think how data I'm going to collect. Which data should I collect? Okay. Okay, if you do not need to collect data, you may be using database that has been collected by others. This is also possible. Okay, you say that I'm using a standard data somebody has collected, and I'm going to use this data from database, But using a new techniques, I'm going to experiment this data. Especially those who are doing in the area of computing, for example, they want to test new algorithm. They have a lot of databases available. A database, for example, from Kaggle, from KDCAP, from NASA database. Okay, like I said, US NASA, they compile a lot of data, they put it as a public domain, and you can use those data to, for example, to test the behavior of certain algorithm. Okay, in that case, the data for experiment is available, but the data that you need in your study is basically the behavior of that algorithm. That way you're going to get new results from new algorithm that you design. So that is we consider as data for your study. But the data that you collect from database, you use Adobe database. This is not data that you collect, but you use that as a part of the tools for your study, which is database, public database available somewhere, okay, from established organization. So this is common, especially in computer science. Even like those who are doing maintenance, for example, okay, they are using database provided by NASA. NASA put a lot of data there. You can go and evaluate, for example, maintenance model, when to implement the what do you call it? The what we call it, preventive maintenance based on the historical data collected by others. Because if you want to collect your own data, okay, it might take 5 years, 10 years. So somebody has collected the data and we just may use that data. But the data for your own research will be the results of using your algorithm, your methodology, and so on. I hope that clear. Any question on that? We now understand that every study requires data.
Yes, no questions.
Okay, good. Okay. So it's very important that we design this properly. When we say research design, including how to collect data, how to collect data, what equipment to use, and so on. Okay, what data to collect and how they should be collected. This is research design, where you put it in research methodology. Okay, how to collect data and how this data should be collected. And even you can also discuss what statistical technique to be used in analyzing the data collected. Okay, in chapter 3. This just are just showing that you can put in terms of flow chart. Okay, maybe it doesn't make sense anything for you now. You can put, what I'm saying is research framework, like research plan, what you want to do in phase 1, what you want to do in phase 2, what you want to do phase 3. Okay, maybe phase 1 you are doing something which is, for example, how data to be collected. And here maybe you are testing model 1. This is advanced model, for example. So it's good to have a flow chart like this in chapter 3, showing that different phases of your work. You divide your big project into phase 1, phase 2, so that you can organize it, your activities, and you can align this to your Gantt chart. What you want to do in phase 1, what you want to do in phase 2. Maybe at the beginning it's not clear yet to you, but you can make it tentatively, and then you will refine it as you actually do it. You can also have this research plan. Okay, instead of doing that, or in addition to do that, what do you call it? Some people call this like waterfall diagram, like water is flowing, The output of phase 1 will be used in phase 2. Output of phase 2 will be used in phase 3. Okay, and you can also put it here. What is the phase? What is your objective? What is your research question? What is methodology? How you want to measure the performance, and what is the results? So if you can have this plan, your research will be very clear, because you can say that objective 1, this is what I'm going to do. Now I have objective 2, what I'm going to do. How I'm going to collect data, the methodology, what is the performance measure, what will be the result analysis. You plan it. When you plan it, I know it's not easy to come up with this table until you are clear about the problem, but if you have that aim in your mind that at the end you want to have a clear plan for your experiment, Okay, that will be very helpful and easy for others to understand what you have done. Okay, even the performance measures, okay, you can find what are the performance measure of your experiment. What type of measures that you're going to use? Are you going to use the percentage of accuracy? Are you going to use the speed? What are the related measures? Okay, is it false positive? Is it going to be error, and so on? Okay. So in terms of data gathering and analysis, okay, data gathering, now let's say you have planned. You have planned your experiment, you have done your chapter 3, now you are about to start your own research, which is data gathering and analysis. Okay, so data gathering, as we know now, all research requires data. Okay, so let's say you select a topic given by your supervisor, you can ask him, how should I collect data? How you get clarification. Where should I get the data? Is it from the lab, or is it from database, or is it from previous work, or what? Is it from case study? It is very important to know the data. Without data, okay, nothing much you can do in your work. Instrumentation may be required for some experimental laboratory work and also measurement. And also, like I said, sampling is very important. Statistical analysis of your data. And then analysis techniques when you get the data. Okay? Okay, for students in industrial engineering, they are very familiar with this design of experiment. If you are coming from aero or from pure mechanical, maybe some of you have learned, but if you have not learned, it is a good suggestion if you can take a course on design of experiment. Okay, maybe for your elective, because this actually design of experiment is a systematic plan for you to conduct the experiment, rather than what we call it a randomly select the parameters. Okay, so design of experiment, I think maybe some of you have taken. Ahmad, you have taken design of experiment?
Yes, I have taken it as operation research.
Oh, you took it as operation research. In operation research, you study design of experiment?
Yes. Sorry,
No,
no, quality engineering, sorry.
Yeah, it's in quality engineering, okay, design of experiment. So you still remember what you learned?
I'm still learning. I'm taking quality resistance.
Oh, you are taking now? You are taking now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so design of experiment, okay, as you know that in the research, in a project, we have experiment. So we can design this experiment, okay? So in design of experiment, we will have performance measure, okay, what performance measure, or we call it response. So rather than one factor at a time, it's quite common for those in the area of other engineering. What they do is they just change the parameter one at a time. But in design of experiment, we change more than one parameter at a time so that we can optimize, okay, our setting. So that when you run the experiment, you can get many information rather than one at a time. One at a time here, meaning that, for example, you are trying to measure the fuel consumption. Okay, you say that fuel consumption of a car depend on speed. Okay, so maybe you run experiment, you run the car at the speed of, okay, let's say you want to see fuel consumption. Okay, let's see this fuel, fuel. Okay, let's say petrol, and then here is speed. You want to run an experiment to see how the speed influence the fuel consumption. Is it higher speed? Higher speed, you will get more economical fuel, or is it slow speed? What is your guess now? Your hypothesis? You have any hypothesis? How the fuel influence how the speed influence the fuel? Is it low speed, low fuel, higher speed, more fuel?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we assume that higher speed consume more, right?
Yes.
But in terms of per kilometer, which one is more economical? Per kilometer, the cost of fuel. If you run slow, or you can run high speed.
It depends on how it depends because in the beginning The beginning,
Okay.
the fuel is
Okay, depend on the engine. Depend on the engine, right? Maybe you go slow, maybe more fuel per kilometer. But if you go to high speed, exceed the optimum, maybe also more fuel. But there must be somewhere optimum, right?
Yes.
There will be optimum speed. That is the most economical. So now your experiment is only speed and fuel. Okay, only two variables there. But in design or experiment, besides speed, you also need to check the pressure of your tire, isn't it?
Yes.
Could also influence the fuel. If you are using a half flat tire, more fuel, and also the weight of passenger, isn't it? Not only speed, the weight, the heavier car will consume more. So now
Yes.
you have more parameters there. So how are you going to organize this parameter? Are you going to change one by one? Speed 1, pressure 1, weight 1. Speed 2, pressure 2, weight 2. It's going to be complicated, isn't it? So
Yes.
this is where you use design or experiment to systematically design your experiment. Okay, so this subject is in industrial engineering, where you plan to design your experiment. Okay, so I think I will finish here for now. Okay, we will continue later on. This is for benefit of mechanical student. I will introduce some of the aspect of experiment. Okay, especially those who are using the equipment. You need to know what are the issues that to be addressed when you are taking, data collected from laboratories. Okay, I will stop here for now. Okay, can we summarize quickly what we have learned for today? For the last 2 hours. Okay, Nur Azmah. Okay, what we have learned today?
What we have learned today, for the first 1 hour, we learn about how to write a draft, how to prepare a draft.
Okay.
So for the preparation of draft, for the first 3 chapter, introduction,
Okay.
literature review, and methodology.
Okay.
And we have a method of development of the writing, which is chronological.
Okay.
We must write our draft in sequence.
Okay.
We use the process, and we have classification and cause and effect.
Okay.
And others we have writing the draft. We use outline, topic, sentence, and paragraph.
Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, let me ask another person. Zahara. Okay, can you continue from there? What you have learned today? Zahra?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, can you continue from what Nur Azmah have mentioned? What we learned today? Continue from there. Azmah has mentioned something just now. Okay, can you continue what else we have learned today?
Yes, doctor. We told today about how can we work our project. At first, we talk about the introduction and the style of 5 chapters. Only style for 5 chapters, not for more or less. This style not to be the formal style for each project. Then we talk about every chapter for the introduction. In chapter 2 and 3. 4 and 5, we will talk about the data analyze and collection. Chapter 5, we will talk about the conclusion.
Okay, so those are the style, right? Okay, So
Yes.
I will end here. Maybe some of you have a class. Okay, thank you very much. For those who have any question, you can stay online for the next 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay,
Thank you, Prof.
all right.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. If you have problem, you have question, you can ask now before I leave the room.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any? No question? Okay, thank you.
Okay, bro. Bro, excuse
Yes.
me.
Yeah, okay.
As you know, we have project 1 and project 2.
Right.
Yes, and I understood from this lecture in the project 1 we should write just 3 chapters.
Yes.
And after 3 chapters, chapter 4 and 5, I will write in the project 2.
Yes.
To complete all the chapters. Yes.
Yes.
And
yeah.
if I when I go to work, because chapter 4 and chapter 5 to work for my my project, maybe for example when I in the chapter 2 told about the tools, maybe you need another tools when I work. Can I edit or change in the chapter 1 or 2 or 3 before I get result, maybe, or get another tools or use the, or we can't change anything in these chapters?
Okay, changing, refining is acceptable, but not totally change, you know, because you waste your time.
Mm-hmm.
You are saying now you want to change the whole literature review?
No. Just maybe, for example, when I work in the project to get maybe, for example, if I need another tools, these tools I didn't mention in the last chapters, maybe to edit a little information or change a little information.
Oh yeah. It's expected to do that. You need to update, yeah, because when you plan initially, maybe you didn't realize that is you know, one of the tools that you're going to use, but you discover this when you start doing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you are expected to do that. You need to cover that in your literature.
Okay.
You must include that, because when we plan, we're not sure whether this is the thing that you're going to face. When you're actually doing, and then you say, oh, I didn't read this in the literature.
Yes.
So you need to read and include it.
Yes.
Okay, maybe those are not related, maybe you remove. Okay, so that's why it is writing is continuous. I say writing is continuous. As you do, you keep updating. Okay.
Okay.
Very good question. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam warahmatullah. Okay, I will leave now if there is no more question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you.